one question and all. What's the likelihood of that happening?
Well, the likelihood of something like that happening, well, it's better than it's been in the last 20 years. The likelihood that the consultants report that was generated looked at two possible options for recycling in the city of Detroit. The public authority has said over and over again, whatever option we take, recycling is going to be part of it. That's good. How serious that is and whether they're going to get to this economies of scale level is in serious question. So they're looking at the possibility of implementing two different options. One would be to have a network of drop-off stations around the city. Well, frankly, that isn't going to work because of two reasons. One, drop-off stations are not very convenient for people, and so people don't use them. And given the lack of transportation resources for the residents of the city of Detroit, it's going to be even worse than is typical. So that having a network of drop-off stations isn't going to work, and they'll maybe get to 5 to 7% recycling rate if they do that. That would even be optimistic. They have talked about implementing a curbside recycling program, which is what really has to happen. But the curbside recycling program that they've looked at is what's referred to as single stream, which basically means that you, instead of having one Corville cart that you throw everything into, you would have two Corville carts, one for your trash that goes for disposal and one that's all recyclables. The problem with that is that by commingling all of your recyclables in one container, the biggest problem is that you end up contaminating the paper. And so a single stream recycling program typically has about a 15% or higher rejection rate. So 15% of the stuff that you put the effort into recycling ends up becoming trash anyway because it's contaminated as a result of all this stuff getting mingled together. And what is the best way of dealing with it, it's a compromise between convenience and separation, is to have paper in one bin and all of your other recyclables in a second bin. That way you prevent the contamination and your rejection rate is much lower. It's 5% or less. And there are technological means of being able to do that even within one container. So you have one divided container that has paper on one side and all the others on the other side. And then when it's picked up, you open one side or the other when it opens up, when you go to dump it, or you have both sides open up into a separated collection on the back of the truck. So you could do what's referred to as a dual stream recycling program pretty easily. You wouldn't have to resort to single stream. Their consultants projected that they would implement that over a period of years, but that they projected that it would plateau at about a 23% recycling rate, which means you don't get to that economy of scale to actually get to the point where the cost of the recycling is no more expensive than any means of disposal. So what I've suggested as the alternative plan is that on the short term, you landfill. It's just a fact of life at this point in time. They're not prepared to implement a full-scale recycling program immediately. And it's going to take a number of years to get the residents of the city of Detroit to change from using their very convenient Corville container to having to sort things, and that's just going to take a while to do. It happens in every city. It's going to take them 10 years, basically, to change the way people handle their solid waste. So they're going to need a landfill on the short term for the vast majority, if they close the facility. And then implement a comprehensive recycling program, and if they encourage businesses, recycled content businesses, to move into the city of Detroit, people are going to start getting those jobs. They're going to realize the benefit that comes from that, because if I recycle something, I'm creating a job for my cousin, my brother, my neighbor, and that's a net benefit to the city. It could also then preserve, myself being a unionist, I would also want to preserve the public employees' union jobs, and this is a way to do that, to prevent privatization.